Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Community Chats. It is Friday, June 26th, and my name is Erin Oath. I am a project manager for community engagement here at the University of Mississippi, and I am joined by my colleague, Jody Holland. Anthony Siracusa is away today, and we are here to continue elevating community leaders from our region, the work that they're doing, and learning about their stories. Who are they? What are they doing? How did they come to do the work that they're doing to build up our community? Community Chats is an initiative of the Office of Community Engagement at the University of Mississippi in close partnership with our friends at LOFT, the Lafayette Oxford Foundation for Tomorrow. You can learn more about LOFT in our first episode of the series. Today, we're continuing our emphasis on housing, and we have the honor and privilege of being joined by Forrest Jenkins with LOU Home. We are so delighted to have you here today, Forrest. Thank you so much for being a part.
Thank y'all for having me. It's really nice to be here and get to talk to the folks with the Community Engagement Office.
Fantastic. Well, we are excited to get to know more about you and the work that LOU Home does in our area. So would you just start off by telling us a little bit about who you are? How did you come to this community and what brought you here?
So I'm a, next to local gal. I'm originally from Pontotoc, Mississippi, down the road here between Oxford and Tupelo. So I grew up and went to high school up until the point that I went to the Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science to finish. Ended up at Ole Miss for college because they had started the Honors College program, and they were really getting some interesting things going as a university. And I ended up having a great experience. Of course, Oxford loves to just get a hold on everybody, and I liked being able to be as close to my family as this lets me be. And I've been lucky enough to then get another degree from the University of Mississippi School of Law. And I ended up on the LOU board because I was practicing law with the housing clinic. This would be about 6 years ago when the LOU Home Inc. board approached me and asked me to join. This is my 7th year on the board, and this year I'm the president of our board and just doing my best to try to, get as much done in a year's time as I can before I roll off. So.
Forrest, thanks for that response. I'm curious about really what got you interested in this board and how you progressed through being on the board all the way up to being executive director. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
So, well, one, I'm not the executive director. We're hoping to create that position this year, but I'm just the president of the board of directors. But I was interested in this board because at the time that they approached me, that I was working with the housing clinic, I was working with directly with some of the issues that come up in the community due to a lack of affordable housing, and wanting to make a more proactive difference of, what we really need is more pieces of housing that people who live here and work here can afford to live in. And so looking at, there's a piece of it that needs to be there working on the structure and that legal end. But at that time, the LOU Home Inc. had created the community green neighborhood. So they had this big success. They managed to have, thanks to Fred Lorenzo, who's now our chief administrative, or he's our administrative employee, basically does a lot for the board still, although he's not a board member. But his version of the board managed to acquire this land off the end of the rail trail, bike trail, and use the existing, what had been the faculty houses at the university to rehab them and move them from the university so that that housing that already exists is preserved. And, there's a space in the town that gets to be held at a certain price based on the laws and regulations that were over the funding that they put together to do that. It was an incredible success. And I was interested in, trying to understand how you do that and trying to be involved with, again, that proactive approach of helping that situation that I was seeing a lot of with the housing clinic.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up that community green, because I think that's a wonderful example of the university and the community working together in a really successful partnership that addressed an issue and was hugely successful in terms of of that development. So for people that may be new to LOU Home, can you just share a little bit about the mission, what you do, and how you promote affordable housing in the community?
Yes, so our mission is primarily about supporting as directly and materially as possible, basically getting affordable housing created in the community, and then supporting people in being in that place in sort of their financial world to be able to take advantage of that and sort of step into it and being ready. So we have programs that are, of course, that's all new now, but we have had financial and credit counseling workshops, and to some extent we've been developing individual counseling through a program through the Mississippi Home Corporation that certifies people in that role. So we've recently hired an employee who's going to acquire that certification and be able to commit more time and sort of do a little more effort towards that. And then meanwhile, we've spent, a lot of time working hard to try to figure out, well, how do you get these resources together to put together housing that's held at this affordable price? And so what we have most recently done is we've been the nonprofit partner to develop Bell Rivers and Bell Rivers 2, which are two different developments through the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Program, which is a different sort of area of funding and different type of resource from what they had for Community Green. But what we've been able to do with that is create what is right now rental housing that's, again, the price held at a defined level based on that program, which is, if you're a nerd, in section 42 of the IRS code. So.
Well, Forrest, I know that you can't do all this work alone. Can you tell us a little bit about your staff and kind of how they serve your organization and what they're doing with the community?
Right. So we do have an entire board of directors that is made up of, we have members from the university who are faculty and who are staff and work in a variety of different departments there. We have a number of community members who are involved in, different churches, other different organizations that do, United Way. We have several sort of cross memberships and coordination and partnership with other nonprofits in Oxford, and there's a lot of hands that touch every single one of these projects, and that includes our administrative officer, Fred Lorenzo, and then we have, again, hired a credit and financial counselor who's working part-time, and once she gets certified, we'll be able to be offering more counseling. We're in the process of trying to figure out how to sort of put some resources together to have an executive director who can do all the administration of both trying to work with housing that already exists, looking for new opportunities to develop housing, and looking at managing and administering this program of supporting individual members of the community. So it's a lot, and it takes a lot of people to do it.
I know it does. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, all of those programs are so exciting, particularly as you're going into more individual counseling and financial counseling. So what is your vision going forward? What does this work look like 5-10 years down the road? Or how will you know when you've addressed affordable housing, maybe?
That's a super big picture sort of piece of the puzzle. I say looking 5-10 years down the road, as I also reflect on the experience that I've had over now in my 7th year with this, is looking for sort of the patience in the individuals who commit to doing this work, that things don't happen overnight. It takes, a lot of eyes and a lot of hands to get things to move. And I would like to see our work with sort of the maybe Board of Aldermen and supervisors to develop a little bit more, because I think that one thing that happens is people don't necessarily understand what it is we're trying to accomplish or how they can help us. And so just doing a little bit more of that coordination, looking at how to support the individuals who live at Bell Rivers and Bell Rivers 2 and Eastover to maintain the security to maintain those homes, because in 15 years, the units at Bell Rivers and Eastover will be available for sale. And the first opportunity to buy will be for the people who live in them at that time. So also looking, again, 5-10 years down the road at maintaining the quality of that housing and how the board can support keeping a quality, piece of housing infrastructure in our town, because it took a lot of effort to put it there. So we really want it to be, something really good for the folks that directly live in there and for the surrounding community for years to come.
Well, Forrest, what really are some of the greatest challenges you're experiencing as a nonprofit, either in this, pandemic state or in day-to-day normal times? What are the greatest challenges?
Well, number one, right now we've been trying to adjust all of our programming to, we had set right before all the pandemic happened. We had a pretty successful meet and greet event at Bell Rivers to meet residents and try to hear their concerns and start to learn how to, again, provide that support that we want to establish now and carry on forward in the future. And then now we're in a state where we can't really do the in-person outreach in the same way. And I think that's a limiting factor, because it is really important to get face-to-face with people and meet people and, be willing to kind of talk. So trying to figure out what to do from there and how to communicate what we can do is right now a challenge. A big challenge over the whole time that I've been with this board has been acquiring the land itself to put housing on or to rehab or whatever it is. There's, maybe there's organizations with just tons and tons of funds sitting there that are able to maybe move a little more quickly than LOU Home Inc. is able to. But there's programs where you need to have the, actually that's recently changed. For years, there's one type of funding that you needed to have land titled in your organization's name in order to have access to the funds to build on. And so that was the big stumbling block, because we didn't have the capital to acquire land in Oxford or Lafayette County. And we also didn't have a place to look for a big donation like that. So that was just a huge sort of piece of it. And I think no matter what form the money opportunities take, that challenge here, because we're in a really valuable community and we're in a really attractive community, is going to be dedicating pieces of land to be able to establish affordable housing on, or rehabbing existing housing, whatever, we try to say we've stayed really open and tried to be really adaptable about what we, see as a model for how to do that. There's just no one way.
We hear that over and over, the land issue and affordability. So what keeps you going in this work? As someone that's been doing this work for many years now, what keeps you motivated around the issue of affordable housing? What keeps you coming in and keep plugging along?
Well, I think it matters a lot to me to just do service and be, involved in community at sort of a service level. But you keep going because you get to meet other people that this also matters to and hear their perspectives and, sort of feel that there is enthusiasm, even if the enthusiasm feels like frustration a lot, which it does for me a lot. None of us are alone who are trying to do these things. Again, it takes so many hands, all working at the same time, doing what they can to make anything good happen in your world. And so it's been really satisfying to actually see something kind of come to fruition, in the form of Bell Rivers. And I think I feel better about it sort of now looking back than a lot of the time that I spent like over the past 6 years, again, feeling really frustrated and sort of feeling like we were running up against the same types of obstacles all the time. Yeah, I think just the main thing that keeps me going is sort of being able to, actually see the commitment and enthusiasm in my friends and neighbors who are, on this board with me and in so many other places, trying to do the work.
So, Forrest, we know the board comes together and they help and they give efforts. How can other people in the community that might not know about you guys, if they're watching this, how can they come and assist your organization?
So if there is, like right now, I don't know that we have a fund that's open, but generally we have an Amazon Smile account. So one super easy thing to do if you're not donating through Amazon Smile is they will basically round up your order to the next dollar for a charity that you choose. So if you don't have anything on Amazon Smile, LOU Home Inc. is an Amazon Smile recipient, and donations directly to LOU Home Inc. I don't think I have in front of me like our PO box, but can be mailed by check, or the board can be contacted to try to do that. We are at all times trying to like look for opportunities to either rehab a home or work with some land. So if you were to have a home in the family that needs to kind of not be anybody's responsibility for taxes and upkeep anymore, if you have land that is close enough to be on existing utility infrastructure like electricity and plumbing, and anything like that that is material that you're lucky enough to be in a position to not need, if you can give it to either LOU or the city with an agreement to use it for affordable housing with some definitions around that, that would be great. We would appreciate any kind of support. If there's anything that you're especially interested in that we do, if you wanted to sponsor either a Know Your Score credit event, either at your place of employment or a business that you own, or if you're involved in anywhere that you would like to host a presentation like that, or a financial literacy, how to tell the difference between different types of loans, and work with credit in that way, we can work with anybody just to kind of communicate, learn what the goals of our own community are, and do our best to support the Oxford moving forward.
Great, thank you.
So we call this our 1 minute moment. So you have a minute to share whatever message you would like with the LOU community. What do you most want to share with them?
Well, number one, wear your mask. Number two, look around you. It's a little bit Mr. Rogers, but there are always helpers in your community who are trying to work and do good things. And, regardless of what a stressful time we're in, there's probably somewhere that your hands and your heart can be really productive in a material way, like I was just mentioning, in the ways that LOU Homes tries to, which would be, finances, land. Where are you giving support? You have a huge opportunity in this community in particular, because you have a lot of hearts and minds and hands trying really hard to get us to that next place, to keep us together as a community, to look around and see everybody and know that we are neighbors, because we are the Lafayette Oxford University community. We know each other and we love each other.
Yeah, that's great. Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a wonderful conversation. It's a pleasure to virtually meet you and a pleasure to have you on the show. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a great day.
Yes, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. A reminder, next Wednesday, July the 2nd, we will be back. We will have Sarah McClellan with the Lafayette County Literacy Council joining us. So be sure to tune in. You don't want to miss that. And in the meantime, like, comment, share this feed with your friends, stay engaged, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Have a great day.